Ah, good morning. I am CJ Michelle's. I know how to say my own name. I can English. I am CJ Michelle, author of the Christian fantasy series, the Idduran Saga. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're talking about names. Names are one of the interestingly unique things about fantasy worlds, and there is often a lot of debate about how to properly pronounce them. My camera's in the sun. There you go. Poetry. So, name that movie line. The longer you watch my content, the more it'll become clear to you that I'm a movie person and I make a lot of movie quotes. So names. Names are an interesting part of fantasy worlds, and it's often debated how to properly pronounce things unless the author himself or herself really comes in and clarifies things. So the Idduran place names in particular will be a challenge. One of the easiest things I can point out is that in Elysian names, the letter C always says the K sound. So like there's a city on the Elysian map which is spelled Civinas. That's not Sivinus, it's Kivinas. It's Kivinas, not Sivinus. You may also be interested in knowing the pronunciation of that girl from Shards and Rings, whose name begins with N, this name. How are you supposed to pronounce that? What about her dad's name, or her mentor's name, whose name begins with A? How are you supposed to pronounce these names? Before I get into the pronunciations, there's two things I want to talk about first. One, I don't want there to be canon pronunciations of these names. I would love to hear how you guys pronounce these names. So if you want to go and put in the comments below how you personally pronounce the names of characters in my books, if you disagree with my pronunciations, great. Like, I would love to hear alternate pronunciations. It may even be that you have a cooler pronunciation than I've thought of, and that I may actually start saying it your way. So by all means, let me know in the comments how you pronounce these things. So technically, her name, the girl whose name begins with N, technically her name should be pronounced not Eileen, but it's awfully clunky. Like, who's actually going to say that, especially out loud? So I usually just call her Naylin, even though I know linguistically, because I know the language her name comes from. Not that I speak it, but I know of it. Even though I know that Naylin is a mispronunciation of her name, I call her Naylin because it's easier. Her dad's name is Eugene in English. And of course, her father is Elysian, so his name isn't pronounced Eugene, it's pronounced Eugenius. In Elysian, the C's always say K and the G's always say G. Like, so in the name Eugene, it wouldn't be pronounced Eugenius or Eugenius, it would be Eugenius. But again, let me know in the comments. And of course, we already talked about Kivinas, and then there's the swordsman whose name begins with R. In English, we would just say Raphael. In the books, his name would probably be pronounced Raphael. But I don't say Raphael. I say Raphael, because that's how we pronounce it in English. So I pronounce things a certain way for canonicity, and I pronounce things a certain way for efficiency. Then you have the capital city of Elysia, which is Mythnos. Oh, then there's another one, which is Elysia. I pronounce it Elysia. But you can pronounce that however you like, and if you have a better pronunciation than Elysia, then by all means, let me know. But the capital city, Mythnos, this is again an ethnicity, an efficiency versus canonicity question. I call it Mythnos for efficiency, but in the world, it's probably pronounced more like Mythnas. Mythnas. Then you have King Reuel of Elysia. He's from the house of Elias, which the house of Elias in itself would be Elias. But King Reuel, again, that's an efficiency thing. In the actual book, his name would probably be Reuel. Reuel. But for efficiency, I just say Reuel. And then you have the interesting case of the southeastern Elysian city of Nuria. Now, it's spelled like it's pronounced Nyria or Nyria, because it's Nyria. But in the old days of Elysia, the letter U and the letter Y were the same letter. So their letter Y had to evolve out of the letter U. So originally Elysia was known as Eleusia, and the city Nuria was known as Nuria. But as the spellings changed, Elysia became Elysia, but Nuria didn't become Neria. It stayed Nuria, even though the letters changed. The tradition in that city for its pronunciation is so strong that even when the alphabet changed, the pronunciation didn't. Also of interest, Old Idduran also pronounces Y's as U's. That's something that Elysian and Idduran have in common. So, for example, on the western border of Iddura, you have the Sudan River, and it's just the Sudan River, not Sidon or Sidon. It's Sudan. Now, there are two languages that Elysian names come from. This is somewhat unique among the peoples of the continent. And you get some of these names in Iddura as well, but it's a much stronger tradition in Elysia, and that's because before the Eleusinians expanded out from the heartland, out from the area around, say, Alba and Belkidon, or Belkidon, let me know in the comments. Before they really expanded beyond Alba and Belkidon and went out beyond the mountains, there were, and before the Iddurans arrived from the south, that they have their own mysterious origin story of how they got to Iddura, because they're not native to there. They're colonists, and their country is across the sea somewhere, but their original country has been forgotten. So before the Iddurans got to the continent at all, and before the Eleusinians expanded beyond Alba and Belkidon, there were these other peoples, and one of those peoples was the Uldaryu, and the Uldaryu had their own naming system, and their names for certain places have persisted. Belkidon is not an Elysian name; it's an Uldaryu name, same as Bel Eleron or Bel Eleron. Bel Eleron is an Uldaryu name, and almost no one in Alvar's world actually knows what these names mean. I know what they mean, but the people in the world don't know what they mean. I'll give you a little peek into one of these, some of these Uldaryu names. Like I said, Nalin. Nalin is an Uldaryu name, not Elin. I don't have the definition of that name written here, but it's this. This is the definition of the name. Now, Idduran, his name is pronounced Idduran in Uldaryu. You might notice that he shares a name ending. The ending of his name is the same as the ending of the name for the Lord of the Drakes, whose name is Murin. Murin Drake and Idduran, they have the same name ending, Urin. Now, Urin in Uldaryu means stone, or the stone. So you have Mo Urin and Ane Urin. So these are two names with stone, but they have different prefixes. Ane means bright or shining, and Mo means beneath. So Mo Urin means beneath the stone, and Ane Urin means the shining stone, or the bright stone, or the glowing stone. Figuratively, the name Ane Urin means the shining and unyielding one. Okay, if you have a copy of the Idduran Saga, you will recognize this map. Over here, we have Nuria, like I said. Not pronounced Neria, it's Nuria. And I'm not super familiar with the languages used in Iddura and Suryas, so your guess is almost as good as mine. But let's take a look at some of these. Mul Imida is an Uldaryu name. So is Bel Goldur. Let's look at, so is Kor Kamen. This one would be Keskus. This is Ho Kutus, not How Kutus, or How Kutus. It's Ho. Ho U Kutus. Ho Kutus. Kusaus. Alhainen. Noira. Himmen. Finch. Mila. Finch and Mila. Turnaus. Kukula. That kind of thing. Up here, these are pretty easy to pronounce. You've got Kyuden, you've got Kaseki, Shogyo, Denji, Hide. Not hide, it's not hide, it's Hide. Then up here, you've got Ryoshi. The Makal names might be interesting to pronounce as well. This is Tevika, Kotishe, and this is Ho. That's one of the Suryasi cities. Alavil, Kulali, Muley, Seinar, Tankumitam, Karanalayam, Koteku. The double K is not Koteku, it's Koteku. But you can also pause there and say Koteku. Itatukai, Agmen. I usually just say Agmen. You got Agmen and Agmen Minor, Dignum and Dor Dushur, Bel Kaidon, Alba or Alba, Belibina. These names that have Bel or Mul on them. Come on. Mul Emida. These are all of them Uldaryu names. Okay, well, I hope you've enjoyed this look at the names and pronunciations of the Idduran Saga. If you have questions or suggestions about future videos, by all means, put them in the description down below, and I would love to make some more videos on your suggestions. I will see you next time.